Hey guys, this is Lewis from Roundtable Talk FC. I have Eric here joining me. Got Darian as well. We're here to talk about a few topics during the international break and also between the first week of NFL and much more MMA and stuff like that, but it's out of our forte, so let's talk about stuff that we do know. The first random topic, so to speak, that we're going to dive into is managers and coaches. The greatest manager that you think personally. I want you to guys think who, off the top of your head, is your favorite greatest manager of all time and why. Okay.
All right.
So who wants to go first?
You go first, brother.
I'll take it. All right.
Let's go.
I'm gonna take it. So, kind of like I'm more into the American football. So one of the biggest things that I get into is Bill Belichick. I'm a die-hard Miami Dolphins fan, but I've grown up with playing football my whole entire life. And one thing that I noticed about Bill Belichick is that this guy.
The
thing is that the reason why I look at him as one of the best managers or, slash coach is that the fact that he's bought into everybody that's in his system has the same picture in that sense. So, for example, he gets one of the main things that this guy is like always known for, or just the franchise itself, is getting players to rejuvenate their career. Recently, hot topic is like, Antonio Brown. We can always talk about that. But, or let's just, let's look in the past. Let's talk about Randy Moss. Randy Moss is the type of guy that this guy was the top 5 receiver in the league, breaking a whole bunch of records. And he was actually on the downhill of his career. Couldn't find anybody. They got him on the low. They got him for cheap. Got in the breaking records with Tom Brady. Got him to buy into the system. And stuff like that. And it's just like in the aspect of the reason why I can relate to him so much, and one of the reasons why I think he's like the best coach I've ever seen, is that there's so many things that comes into American football, in the sense that there's 11 players on the field at one time that's representing your team. And to have all 11 players buy into one program, one system, it's one of the hardest things ever. And there's no pride, there's no what's my profile, what's my stats. Everybody's there to win, and obviously it shows. It rings to the fact that they have to go to the other hand.
Yeah.
That's one of the, stats don't lie, rings don't lie. So, hands down, I think Bill Belichick is like the best coach I've ever seen, at least in my era of like living and actually to understand him. The sport.
It's funny that you mentioned him. I actually have a list that I told you that we're going to pick out of you ranking out of this list that I created. You actually ended up pointing out one of the guys.
Hey, there you go. See? I kind of know my things,
Kind of?
Yeah.
I think, no, you were spot on. Yeah, Darian, what about you? What do you think about
I'm a big Bill Belichick fan, but I'm gonna switch it up a little bit
Okay,
just because
cool.
you laid up a lot, like pretty much a lot, man. But
Same but different.
I like,
But still same.
I grew up playing ball, and even though I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm a big football fan.
Oh, look at you. All right.
But it's tough, man. I really like Popovich. I probably have to go with
Yes.
like I am a Phil Jackson like Zen Master fan.
Ooh, okay.
But I like Pop, man.
He's kind of
my
he has a player's coach touch to him too. Like he has a good system.
Pop.
Yeah, man.
And
Oh,
he also
Pop's
has
definitely a player's coach.
Yeah,
Even like Kawhi likes him. Like which
Yeah.
is like
Mad weird.
Yeah.
Why did you leave if that's, but whatever.
But I think it goes back to like Belichick and great coaches, like they want to win.
Yeah.
So Popovich, like even for me, like when Tony Parker was balling out, when Ginobili was balling out.
And
all
the
those
amount of
dudes
time,
are
the
still
tenure that these
Yeah.
guys were playing in the league.
Yeah,
level,
man.
And he found ways to like, even though like the load management, they talk about like LeBron, dude, he was doing that. Pop was doing that way before. Like he used to do that with Duncan towards the end of his career.
Robinson?
Like I don't know if Robinson kind of, I think he retired after the year they won that championship.
Yeah, because he kind of passed the torch to
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
But Ginobili, Duncan, like all those guys like were willing to accept bench roles to come off and even Ginobili, like he was balling off the bench. But like you don't get people to buy into that. And even like if you ever heard like how he would talk to him at practice, like he would yell at him, he would treat him literally like a rookie.
Yeah.
Like even after they won championships, and they would accept it because
The
like,
system
not only
works.
did it, the system works. It sets a good example, and like if you Popovich is an outspoken coach, and even like with a bunch of this shit that goes
Not
on,
in the interviews, but not in the interviews.
right? Not
Which
in
is
interviews,
great.
but like like especially now, like with the social media stuff that we were talking about, like most people, and it's really like a matter of opinion how they go about it. But Popovich, like Kerr, like will speak out on stuff, like regardless of what his opinion is, he'll say something.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, I like that, just because I believe that's something that makes our country like what it is that people can believe in what they want to believe in and be outspoken about it without
course.
having to worry about getting like dragged off to the gulag or like just something like
Or like the backlash of it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like, to be honest with you, it's Pop is a guy that he doesn't shy away from what a compliments that like a compliment. Wait,
Accomplishments.
accomplishments. There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Accomplishments,
So,
yeah.
one thing about him is that, like, dude, like, just like what you were just saying, like, it doesn't matter your profile. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
His
at the end of the
vibing,
day,
yeah.
the most cheesiest thing is there's no I in team. So, like, in order to win any type of sport, you have to be together as a group, no matter if you're the nastiest player in the league or I'm like the sixth man on the bench or any of that matter.
Yeah.
So I think like Pop, same thing with Bill, you know, like they both understand that like the system itself is the biggest thing.
They're
Far
both in the
greater than
military, too.
There you go.
Crazy. That's crazy. So I'm a ship on the eastern side towards Europe.
Of course.
Yeah, the football guy. Whoa, it's different. Now. My all-time favorite, and being biased and all that put aside, I think Sir Alex Ferguson for me is the greatest coach / manager of all time. This guy took a Man United squad that were eons as far as trophies goes behind Liverpool, who were like on a consistent threat, and managed to win about 13 trophies, Premier League titles. Created the same thing as you guys were mentioning, a system that no matter what the
That's
player, no matter what the players from the academy, like from 12-year-olds, this guy, you hear stories of knowing the name of the newest 13-year-old that signed up to the team, hugging them, talking to their mom, and just pretty much saying like, I'm still have my eye on you, even though I got like one of the greatest players at this time, and winning these leagues and winning these trophies. Making, let's say, a Darren Fletcher, so to speak, look like a Paul Scholes. You know, everybody knows Darren Fletcher is the equivalent of like the sixth man, or even like the eighth man on the bench.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like creating the culture of being afraid to lose because everybody has this one goal that we need to win.
Yeah,
You know?
it's creating value to like who you are, or it doesn't matter what position you play or what rotation you are in.
Yeah.
You have a certain value and gives an importance to who you are. Even though, like, let's say you're the sixth, you're the eighth, you know, or let's say you're the second string quarterback that you might never even get onto the field, but
Yeah.
it gives you that importance that, you know what, let me get my stuff done, let me get my things done, and it motivates you.
Yeah.
You know.
And even like our manager now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he is the biggest advocate. He was the backup striker pretty much his whole career at Man United,
Okay.
behind some all-time greats of like York, you know, and Andy Cole. And it's one of those things where this guy knew how to man management. He knew how to like yell at, and he knew who would get the appropriate response for them. He knew that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be like, yeah, like you'll get your chance, just wait this low in game, and then he'll put him on like at Nottingham Forest and score 4 goals, and like in the matter of 20 minutes or less. You know what I'm saying? That's for me, my opinion on like the greatest manager. And it's funny, you guys like pretty much ended up touching on like this list. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you had to categorize them, and I don't want you to just go based on like the games that we just mentioned,
Okay.
I'm gonna give you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I give you, answer me your top 2.
Okay.
All right, your top 2. I'm gonna give them their accolades and their winning percentages. All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go off with the best. Sir Alex Ferguson.
Non-biased. But,
As fuck. This guy has 13 Premier League titles. So in his league, imagine like NFL, and then NFL having like their own like mini tournaments. This guy won 13 of his own leagues, 5 cups of I guess England is called the FA Cups. This guy won 5 of them on top of the 13, and the Champions League, which is a whole tournament against pretty much across Europe. He won 2 of those as well. He has managed about 2,155 matches, and he's won about 1,253 with the winning percentage over 581. Belichick is next. This man has, I think to this day, I'm not sure if I'm accurate, don't quote me here, but over 261 with his winning percentage over 680. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
He has won 6 championships. It's not as 13. Not 13.
sorry about that.
Yeah, it's a different league, but it's still really good. Still really good. The next man up is Phil Jackson. Right?
Oh, Phil Jackson. Okay.
Phil Jackson.
Triangle offense.
Facts. This man has managed over 1,600 with his winning percentage, 1,640 with his winning percentage over 700, 704. He has won 10 chips, and even in the playoffs, his win percentage is 6.688. Pretty impressive, in my opinion. Greg Popovich. Pop has, to this day, don't quote me, but I believe it's
There's gonna be like comments in the bottom like,
This guy's
an idiot.
the worst. 1820, right? With winning 1245 with his winning percentage at .684, and has won 5 championships, which is pretty impressive. And then the last one, we're bringing it back to actual football, aka soccer. Pep Guardiola, I kind of want to mention him. He's still active now, and this guy has played in Spain, Germany, and managed in Spain and Germany, and right now is in England. In England right now, I believe it's, actually no, in total, he has won 580, well, he has played total 587 and has won 438. I don't know the win percentage on that. Don't quote me. I don't know how to do quick math, but that's a lot.
The one.
But I do want to let you know, in England, he has won 2 Premier Leagues with 3 domestic cups, 2 Champions Leagues, with both of them being in Barca and Spain. And bringing into Spain, he has won 3 championships there, 5 domestic cups, and in Germany, he has won 3 championships and 2 domestic cups. All in all, a lot of trophies in that cabinet for this man. So I'm gonna start off first with my top 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with obviously Sir Alex Ferguson first. I believe Phil Jackson has to be number 2. This guy has implemented what I believe. I think he has to watch football like soccer. You know, like this guy, the triangle offense is pretty much what like Barca's doing, and what pretty much everybody nowadays pretty much having that open pass. That triangle system is pretty much what we're running, and what you see like FIFA and what you see with these guys and managers, that open play. I honestly think with 10 championships, it's in basketball, it's pretty impressive, and his win percentage 688 in playoffs, over 700 in regular competition play. I think it's unfathomable. The last one, I'm gonna say Pep Guardiola. I wanted to say Bill Belichick because
But you're a soccer guy. That's what guides you to Pep.
Facts. No, you know.
It's also understanding the sport.
The system,
you know?
the system that Bill Belichick does is amazing, in my opinion. You can really see the camaraderie with everybody. But Pep, to win it across different countries, in Germany, winning in England, and also in Spain, you have to give him props. Even if the team is amazing, you know, it goes and says a lot more with the board. You know, that they pretty much back this guy up. I want you to pick now, man.
All right, so I mean, the thing is that what I'm gonna go with is the sports that I'm more familiar with, in the sense that, let's say with American football, I played American football since I was like 8 years old.
Teeny weenies.
Yeah, since I was a little baby. And then I also played basketball. I recently just got into soccer. I'm still learning about it. So
Sorry, we accept you.
it's okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. So for number one overall, I'm gonna go with Bill Belichick, just because I've related with the sports so much in my life that I'm gonna go back into one of the main subjects, and one of the main topics that I went with is getting 53 people to buy into one system. Sometimes in football, you may have the best player in the league, but it may not consistent to winning championships. It's to get a buy-in of the 10 other people. Sometimes you have these all-star athletes that it can be from any sport, and what ends up happening is that they think they are the reason why they're winning. And the reason why I'm picking Bill Belichick is just because of the fact that every person that's been involved in that program or that system has been able to succeed. So I'm gonna go Bill Belichick right off the bat. He's changed the way that players have thought about in sports, changed the way that how people should be coached or how teams should be rebuilding a program.
Yeah.
So going off of that, I'm gonna go with my second one. I'm gonna go with Pop. Big thing about Pop is that he's had Hall of Famers, but it's not that he's had natural Hall of Famers. He's created Hall of Famers, in the sense that he's coached up players to their max ability, then let alone just on pure athleticism. So that's why I give a little bit of a knock towards Pop than Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson's always been blessed with amazing talent throughout his whole career. There's a reason why he has 10 chips. He had Shaq, he had Kobe, he had Michael. Those are 3 guys that are going to go down as top 10 players to ever touch the basketball ever in their career. So those are that's the kind of thing that don't get me wrong, I think Phil Jackson has he's a great coach.
I mean, I do want to say this. After, did Phil leave after? But I knew that the chemistry between Shaq and Kobe was not one to deal with. That's why they ended up shipping out Shaq. Yeah. And the fact that this guy managed to kind of mesh that together.
Yeah, it's hard to I've coached many athletes. I've coached athletes that are right now playing in the NFL, or I've coached athletes that right now are playing in Division I football, and I've coached athletes that are divas. I've coached athletes that they know they're good. So I do give a knock to Phil for that, in the sense that keeping divas together and humbling great athletes, but it does help when you have 2 of the best shooters in your career to help you win championships. So I went Bill for my first, I went with Pop with my second, and I'm gonna go with my third one, and I'm gonna give you a little curveball. It's not gonna be on this list.
Oof.
But I'm gonna go with Nick Saban.
Ooh.
Reason why I'm going with Nick Saban is just because of the fact that this man has a farm system going in Alabama. This man gets the top recruiters. I mean, he gets the top recruits in any. They know what it is to go to a young athlete and tell them, hey, listen, you come play with me, and we're gonna end up giving you, we're gonna end up making you an NFL player. We can get you a first or second round draft pick. That's something that I look to, and I went to the discussion earlier with one of my colleagues that college football is such a big thing. You're dealing with first it's 50 states, then you're dealing with all the little schools inside those states, and you're still managing to get the top recruits in the United States.
Yes.
It goes back into having a system.
Having a system.
Yeah.
This guy in Alabama, it's college football, which is 10 times harder. Conferences, so to speak, but the fact that I was mentioning to him earlier, players come in for 1 semester and they're out, and And that's not even just 53. I think it's kind of like.
People are worrying double the numbers. Like, you know, it goes to the fact that you're recruiting all across America. You're recruiting against other conferences. You're recruiting against other schools, and you're willing to sell a player to sacrifice their body for your system, and you're guaranteeing them that they're going to be able to be millionaires. That's something that, when you're a young athlete and you're 17, 18 years old and you know you're gifted, you're putting your life, your ability to make millions of dollars into someone's hands, and they always tend to choose Nick Saban. So that's why, I did throw a curveball in there.
It's a good curveball. But just to say, Nick Saban is technically like a modern day Sir Alex Ferguson because of the farming system. This guy's going from the academy, picking up these 12-year-olds and making them superstars. I'm just, you guys.
I don't know if college football works like that. But.
Well, I mean, to say, I mean, it's the system. We'll talk to Nick Saban. I'm gonna ask him. You must know Sir Alex Ferguson. You must know the system, because I'm pretty sure it's like for like.
Here you go, DJ.
Oh, I'm good, brother. I don't need it.
Oh.
No, this
excuse
guy.
me.
I'm sorry, man.
He don't need the fact sheet.
The facts.
He doesn't need the
No,
facts.
I mean, I don't know much about Sir Alex Ferguson, but I'm gonna do this mine's backwards. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put him third, just strictly because I don't really know much about him, but just also knowing from what I've been watching the club over the last 10 years, like Fergie time, understanding like our stadium is pretty much not named after him, but he has an important section in the stadium.
He has his own statue, man. It says a lot.
You're also building the intensity because you're starting from 3 to 1.
Well, then
I like it.
The other thing
it
that I
moves.
think of is Manchester United is the second most valuable sports club next to the Cowboys. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they were they were two. Just recently, thanks to the Blazers.
Without U.S. viewership, which
Yeah.
is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is pretty
like to have that amount of like just value in your club.
Yeah, we're one of the biggest clubs in the world, man.
No, 100%.
I was about to.
I want to. I'll save it for the next one.
Two's hard, man. Two, I would definitely probably go with Belichick, just
Okay.
because, man, that guy has just done a lot with nothing.
Yeah,
And like if you really look at their roster to do,
Bro, who would have thought Tom Brady, bro? What round was this guy
but
drafted?
I personally believe
06.
that Bill Belichick is more responsible because circumstantially the AFC East, if I'm not
Yeah, it's a
mistaken,
joke.
is a joke.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
They're guaranteed at
But-
least 4 to 5 wins every
but
season.
that doesn't take away, I don't take that away from the division being weak. It just makes it easier for him to get back to win the rings.
yeah.
But I also think what makes Tom Brady and Bill Belichick great is just what makes them like just who they are. Which, Bill Belichick, again, like as we were saying earlier, like comes from a military family. Like his dad pretty much wrote the book on modern scouting. So, I actually have his book. It's called Advanced Scouting Methods. He wrote it like back in like the 50s and 60s when he was when he was working at Navy.
It's crazy.
So he actually Belichick came from that, like the whole admiral Navy system. So, obviously he's been coaching since the 80s.
I am a true believer though that I'm gonna probably get a lot of pushback on this, but I'm a true believer that if it wasn't for Bill, Tom wouldn't be what he is right now.
No.
Because
I agree. No,
Tom's okay. So one,
this guy's a proven
this
winner,
goes into I'm not giving any knock to Tom Brady though, because that guy's got ice in his veins. He's intelligent enough to know what he has to do, but in
to
a
be
sense,
as successful though.
to the thing is that with him is that the athleticism, in a sense, like I go into this argument all the time, is that you have Aaron Rodgers, which is one of the most talented quarterbacks, can make every single throw. He can actually scramble. He can extend plays. He does all these things. And then you have Tom Brady. Tom Brady right now, obviously of his age, but even back then, he was never known for a strong arm.
Mm-hmm.
He was never known for his mobility. He was never known for extending plays. He was always in this cookie cutter system Look, Bill Belichick got Matt Castle paid. Matt Castle. Exactly. No one knows Matt Castle.
Garoppolo, no?
You got Jimmy got paid.
Brissett just got paid, and then they got this.
There you go.
There's 2 or 3 head coaches right now that have a job because of Belichick.
Exactly.
Andy Reid's another good one.
Yeah. You know, you have these quarterbacks that were in that system and were successful in that system. So it's like you start thinking to yourself, you know, Brady's good,
But is he as good?
but if you put Brady in any other team,
Nah, man.
will he be that
Don't
successful?
put him in the Dolphins, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no, don't do that.
So then my first one is not on the list
Oh.
because I just remembered it. But Jerry
Curveball.
West.
Jerry West.
Yes,
Nice.
the logo. So outside of being the logo, but so I didn't know pretty much he's the person that got Kobe to come, like got the trade for
Yeah,
Kobe.
that's
got,
true.
Got Shaq to come. He's the person who drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson,
This is
Draymond Green, like for Golden State, and I think he works for the Clippers now. So he got Kawhi and Paul George to come there now.
Good lord.
So like this dude is.
Great pick, man.
Yeah,
That's a great pick, man.
Like I was just thinking
Good
about
pick.
it. I'm like, cause my dad was the one who
Well,
was,
we're thinking, yeah, he's gonna pick.
my
Kawhi.
dad was the one who was teaching me about it, and I'm like, dude, I had no idea like he had done all that stuff. So
Yeah, man.
like I was like, dude, Jerry West is probably he's probably like my
You're number
favorite.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's actually
That's pretty
another
good,
curveball,
man.
that to say the least. All right, so let's go into discussions of your boy. That just
Mr. Big Chest.
I'm talking about Mr.
Antonio Clown.
Let me just go from this quote that your man posted on hashtag social media, hashtag Instagram. And that's fine! Exclamation mark. I have worked my whole life to prove that the system is blind to see talent like mine's. Now that everyone sees it, they want to see me conform to the same system that has failed me all those years. I'm not mad at anyone. I'm just asking for the freedom to prove them all wrong. Release me at the Raiders. Hashtag no more. Hashtag put blinders on a horse for a reason. Hashtag no more fake. Bro, what do you think?
Wow.
You want to take that one first?
Yeah, there's 2 things that we can take out of this situation. It's either one, Antonio Brown is the luckiest freaking person in the world that he landed this whole got released and the Patriots picked him up, and actually financially, if you look at the contract, he's actually getting paid a little bit more than he would have because he was getting guaranteed $30 million for 3 years, I believe. I believe it was 3 years. He signed a 1-year contract, 15 mil, $9 million signing bonus. So kind of like he almost made half of what he was going to make in 1 year, and the winning percentage is so much higher compared to being with the Raiders. So that's one. So you got Antonio Clown basically getting super lucky. That's one. Or 2, this guy is the most smartest.
Hashtag mastermind.
Yeah, like he's like, we're all playing checkers and he's playing chess kind of thing. Like, the one thing that I can take out of this whole situation with Antonio Brown is that, you know, due to the fact that I used to coach, you know, young kids and all that stuff, is that what scares me is that seeing these kids look at this athlete. Because all these kids, you know, look at, you know, all these kids playing.
Yeah, we were actually talking about it,
Yeah.
like how these, even social media, like they create such a presence and kind of like a figure to look up to. Is this making this appropriate?
You know, it's and then what gets me a little bit upset is that you have the athletes saying, "Oh, the social media is trying to navigate the narrative," and then you have the worker or the company saying, "Oh, that this person is trying to say that, you know, we're not professional enough and that they're the bad one." I just feel that, you know, look, we all, you know, I live in a life that, you know, when I was growing up and all that stuff, you know, I wasn't broke poor, but I wasn't rich.
Facts.
But I knew for a fact that, you know, my parents made enough money to put food on the table and all that good stuff. And now I'm living a life that I have my apartment, I have my beautiful wife, and I'm thankful to God that every 2 weeks I get my paycheck and I have money coming in. But you have this man that this is what gets me upset with AB.
Okay.
That he went throughout his whole life through the problems and, you know, the financial issues of being grown up. And now, dude, you're getting paid a guaranteed of $30 million to play a damn sport. Like, that's what frustrates me. You can't just, you know, I understand, oh, I'm a human being and this is my well-being, this is my body and I want to protect myself. But dude, you're getting paid $30 million to play a damn sport. $30 million to play
How
a
many
sport.
games is in a season?
Let alone
16.
16.
games,
What-
bro.
and if you make the playoffs, you're playing maybe 3 or 4 extra games. But let alone, you're getting paid $30 million just to play a sport. That's not including all the incentives that you're getting outside of the sport. You don't know how much money you're getting paid from Nike. You don't know how much money from Adidas, or commercials, all these sponsors. And you still have a reason to complain about something? That's what I get frustrated about. So then, this is what gets me, is that you have this nasty athlete. Because Antonio Brown is one of the best receivers to ever play. But then you have this athlete making all this chaos, and you have these young kids watching. These young
It's gonna
gifted
create like a
kids,
ripple
young
effect.
gifted kids watching and going, damn, you know what? I can talk back to my coach. You got a 12-year-old telling a grown man saying, coach, shut up, you don't know what you're doing, give me the ball, or, you know, you don't give me the ball, and blah, 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 and they fight back when it's a 12-year-old. I understand maybe it's a 30-year-old man, maybe it's different, but once a 12-year-old, like, you know, a 12-year-old compared to a 30-year-old man that you know, it's gone through life, like, you know, that's the one frustrating thing that happens. It's not necessarily about Antonio Brown, it's the youth that's being impacted by what they're seeing on the television. Ooh, man.
Your boy had a lot to say right now. Feel good. All
I
right.
felt good.
AB came from your hometown.
That's true.
Steelers.
That is true.
Yeah, man.
This man wanted to get paid and he didn't. Right? The Steelers took the high road. They wanted to draft him to New England. New England didn't like what was being offered or something along those lines, from what I know. He ended up getting the Raiders and now he's out.
Well, we weren't trading him to New England.
What's going on, man? What do you think?
Well, I'm pretty sure that New England offered to trade for him, and we weren't like gonna trade to him. Like, so we sent him to the Raiders, which I believe we were trying to send him to the Bills first because they were trying to give us a first pick, like a first round for him.
I believe, yeah, I think I remember that too.
But he didn't want to go to Buffalo.
Who was?
So,
Who does?
I mean, that's completely understandable.
Yeah, it ain't Scranton.
Ha.
Nice.
The Raiders. I don't know, man. It's such a complicated situation, and like the one thing too, which like Mayock, his GM, like, you know, he pretty much got the job because he's friends with John Gruden. Like he's never actually done anything in the NFL. Like he's never been a coach. Like he's never done anything besides be a TV analyst. So that's pretty much like
That's on his resume.
You've
That's
worked
it.
for 30 years, say like in your field, nutrition, and then you had a dude who worked at like GNC come in and now he's your boss, and he's telling you that he knows more than you. You gotta respect him. So
Yeah, you're going well.
I have my own personal opinion on how you gain respect, and that's just from being in the military, which I gain respect from watching my sergeants do things. Like somebody coming in to tell me just because they're given a title, like in society we respect that because we're told to, and there's laws.
Yeah.
But as a human being, I find it hard to respect somebody that doesn't have the experience, or just somebody like, especially when you have come from Liberty City or Miami Gardens, to get in your face and tell you like something. But I also treat people differently. Like as we know, AB is like an interesting kind of personality.
Very different. Yeah.
But it goes back to what I was saying about like people being role models. Like, and that's a whole nother thing. Like, I find it hard that we hold athletes to such a high standard when we don't hold other people to high standards.
Oh yeah. Totally.
And I also think that goes back to the money though, which is like, because they make so much money, they're held to a higher standard and they're put on a pedestal. But again, even AB isn't the worst person on the Steelers that has done anything by far. Like, and
Big
we can, I mean, even
Big Ben?
because I feel some way about Big Ben, and I kind of like had to talk to my dad about like, because I'm not trying to get sued or anything. But even the Pouncey brothers, like they were defending Aaron Hernandez,
Oh,
Like,
that's true.
They were defending Aaron Hernandez
right, they wore, like,
when
a
he
hat or a
literally
shirt or
murdered
something.
people. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
literally murdered people, and was hiding about it. But they had no problem telling Le'Veon Bell, who was just trying to get some money, after the Steelers have been putting 350 to 450 touches on his body, which we know statistically, like running backs, which is why Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott and all those dudes were holding out.
Yeah.
They get all of their usage on their rookie contract, and by the time their rookie contract is up, the owners don't pay them. They franchise tag them, and then they don't give them any time. Like, look at DeMarco Murray. Like, you haven't even heard about him. He ran for almost like 2,000 yards one season. They just chopped it up to, okay, it was the line. And yeah, Zeke's done well, but I like to say, what other job in the world can you hold to where you don't meet your end goal, or you don't do your job, which is to win a championship, and you still get to keep your job? How many GMs and owners do you see? There's no consequences for them. They get a bottom line.
That's true.
Like, and that's to me, when I think about the business of professional sports, like, we forget that it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, in business, your job is to make money. So even for AB, do you think AB would still be getting contracts if he accidentally, touched a female twice somewhere and she filed a sexual assault charge on him?
I mean, look at Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill with the whole kid situation. You have Zeke. Also, Zeke has always been,
You got a dude who committed insider trading last season.
Yeah.
Like, literally robbing from old people and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, he's getting another contract. Reuben Foster's been
Yep.
convicted of domestic violence, or not convicted, but accused of been.
Allegedly,
So-
type of thing.
But again, it's like I said, when you work for somebody, your rules are different than when somebody doesn't work for anybody. And it's
Oh,
always like,
yeah.
who polices the police? It's like the old saying.
They're fucking sovereign citizens. And
Well, it's like there's nobody to police the police.
The only thing that I can say about with the athletes and getting paid and all that stuff is that what the owners have in the back of their mind is that we're always gonna end up in this circle in the NFL, that you're gonna want to ask for more money. Let's say you're the best athlete, you're the best player in the NFL, and you want to ask for a ridiculous amount of money. What's going to end up happening is that two things. It's either the owner's going to give in and go, you know what, I'm going to give you this much. Or the second thing is going to go, you know what, I'm going to find someone younger, we'll coach them, and probably in 2 or 3 years, they might be almost at the same level as you, but I got half of I saved half of the money for it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's a business, because everybody talks about NFL and everybody talks about that the sport is like on almost like in a downward spiral because the sport's so dangerous. People are gonna get hit. And, yeah.
NFL made $9 billion more last year than the NBA.
No, there you go. Well, but in a sense of, because that's talking about revenue, but in the sense of players getting paid more, because at the end of the day, dude, if it goes into early retirement and all that stuff, all these people are going to take early retirements, and then they're like, you know what, I want to save my body, and guess what? There's going to be another 20 or 21-year-old that's going to walk in there and go, I'll do it for $500,000.
But who do you know outside of Andrew Luck, who comes from money, has early retired?
Let's see. So now that brings actually into a new discussion. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So, like I said, early retirement. That actually brings a really good point. The next segment that I actually wanted to talk about. Like I said, Andrew Luck retired. How old is this guy? Like our age?
29.
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
It's not too
Sadly,
far off.
almost me.
Not too far off. In my opinion. But like
Pretty much.
Yeah.
this sport is, to say the least, a barbaric sport, man.
Mm-hmm.
One said that the average of a normal, not like the 1 percentile, the average career as far as for this game, it's in the professional level is about 3 years.
Mhm.
If you know who I'm talking about. Is it so wrong for these players to be asking and demanding guaranteed money when this game is, this sport with the GMs and this NFL are looking at the younger youth and be like, you know what, I can franchise tag you and worry about the younger ones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what ends up happening, it goes back to your point that, like, you know, let's say like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was, you know, he wasn't raised as necessarily in poverty, that like he never needed, like, I mean, everybody needs money, but he's like not, you know, to that stand that he needs the $1 million, you know, or anything like that. Andrew Luck decided to retire because his body, his wear and tear, the stress and all that stuff. But then you can also go into, let's say, like Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson's one hell of an athlete that retired in his prime. You can also go into Barry Sanders as well. Yeah. Barry Sanders retired 10 years, and I think it was 9 or 10 years. He played for the worst team in that decade, which was the Detroit Lions. And the guy was one of my all-time favorite running backs to ever play in the sport. But you start thinking to yourself, you know, I want to be able to play with my kids, or I want to be able to have a state of mind that I'm able to walk. Now, this is what happens. I mean, and obviously this is my opinion in a sense that I think of two things. It's either you have people, let's say like Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck is a very well-educated person.
Yeah,
very well-educated man, because you know damn well that guy, when he was getting paid, he was putting money to the side. He was being financially responsible with all his finances that he has. On the other hand, you have, you know, there was a documentary, I think it was 30 for 30. It was called Broke.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
you know, you have all these amazing athletes that are going broke 5 or 10 years after their retirement. So this is what ends up happening. And I think that as established as a society, that we're going back into college, you have Division I recruiters coming in saying, hey, look, you play 2 years with me, you're going to be a millionaire. But they're not setting a stepping stone for them to be financially responsible for their decisions. You know, if you're telling me, imagine being 20 years old, 21 years old, and they go, hey, man, here's $2 million. And you've never seen more than $1,000 touch your hand.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna be careless, reckless. You're gonna mean good. You're gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna get my mom a house. I'm gonna give my brother a car that he wanted. Then what ends up happening? Everybody from the hood, everybody from like, you know, oh, hey, yo, dog, hey man, look, my grandma, she's sick. Like, oh, can you spot me like $500, $1,000, you know, whatever it is. And guess what? It gets accumulated and starts going. And then now you're paying bills not of yourself, but you're paying for other people.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that you have all these things going on that you tend to tell yourself like, yo, I have to play until like I'm 38.
Facts.
And you're a running back. Like running unless you're Frank Gore. You. But Frank Gore, like you're not, and I know Frank Gore. I coached I played with his younger brother. I played with his cousins. I have coached some of his cousins. This guy still comes back to the hood, gives back, and does all this stuff. But like, yo, you're playing now. You're playing a sport that you're supposed to be there. What's the average? 3 years. So then what? Now you're playing a sport that it's an average of 3 years, the average, and now you're trying to make it to a 15-year career, and you're still trying to make the same amount of money that you're making in your prime.
Yeah, man, it's dirty.
So that's that's the kind of concept that you get into, because you have, you know, we go back into Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is a very intelligent person, probably very smart with his money. Guy was still using a flip phone, all this stuff. You have Joe Flacco. I know he's still playing in the NFL, but Joe Flacco used to drive a pickup truck, a Ford Ranger 2-door to the facilities when he was playing for the Ravens.
Yeah.
So those are the things that like you gotta also put in like to consideration with these early retirements. By all means, get your money, do what you need to do, but when you have money, be smart with it, which I don't think a lot of athletes are being taught that nowadays. You know?
What do you think, man?
Man, I think it's probably the combination of stuff. For one, I think that's a big. I think everybody should like be financially literate. I think that's like incredibly important. Just having a good, like, you know, amount of money just around to take care of yourself, and just for well-being. But I don't know, man. Like
What do you think about like this early retirement? Andrew Luck walking out.
So the thing is again, I feel like there's no way that you played football and you didn't know that did damage to your body. Like in the sense of like maybe not as detrimental as they found out, but even still to the sense like
to this day, like there's a movie about it, and you know you see all these post players having these traumatic events, pretty much killing themselves. Like, how is it not aware at this point? You know what I'm saying?
But I also look at it as, so even though we know guns kill people, are they going to stop making guns?
It's a valid point.
Like,
It's a
Yeah,
valid
I mean,
point.
it's also like riding a motorcycle. Like, dude, I love riding a motorcycle. I stopped riding a motorcycle. And the reason why was because I'm 28 years old and I want to be able to see my life go on. You getting on a motorcycle, yeah, living in Miami especially,
But it's
that 9 out of 10 times, there's idiots that are going to hit you. It's not necessarily you're a bad driver. It's there everybody else around you. It's
Yeah.
the same thing when you play football. You can think like, yo, I'm nasty. I'm gonna avoid all these try to avoid all these contacts.
Yeah.
And guess what? One person's gonna miss a block. Get smacked up.
Look at this guy,
So-
one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
so
Messed up his
my,
knee.
I remember my teacher,
Bo
who
Jackson. There it is. No Bo.
was funny enough, he was an atheist, but he would taught my addiction class, and he
Really?
like he told me well, he told the class is just he was like, dude, if you pretty much look at everything in life as in like it's gonna kill me, then you're pretty much gonna waste your entire life because you're gonna die anyway. And
That's
it's
facts.
just like it's true though,
That's facts.
because for me it's like, okay, dude, it's your choice. Like Andrew Luck, like I said, I'm happy like he retired. Like, because if that was on his heart and he didn't want to play football anymore, I don't think anybody should do something they don't want to do.
Exactly.
Do you
But-
think that that this will pose other players to kind of follow the same route, or is it gonna stay continuous?
I mean, it's like I said it. I think Andrew Luck had other things to do outside other than football.
That he set himself up to do other
Well,
things.
not even just that, because some people like Antonio Brown, like you come from Liberty City, Miami Gardens. Like, what are you going home to?
Facts.
Like, what do you have to come back to? Like, you have nothing. Like, or if you do, like, it's just like you're gonna come back to an environment to where people are where you just got out of. Which is why most people, like, they go back to their hood, like you said, and they lose money.